The call came while I was folding laundry, my phone vibrating against the kitchen counter like it was impatient with me. "Ms. Bennett," a woman asked when I answered. Her voice was calm, professional, practiced. "Yes. This is Karen from Blue Ridge Community Credit Union. I'm calling regarding the auto loan you co-signed. We haven't received the first payment." I froze, one sock still in my hand. "I didn't co-sign an auto loan." There was a pause on her end. Not confusion. Verification. "Our records show you are listed as the co-signer," she said carefully. "The vehicle is registered to Caleb Bennett." My brother's name landed like a dropped plate. "That's not possible," I said. "I didn't agree to that. I didn't sign anything." "I understand this is surprising," Karen replied, her tone shifting slightly, softer but guarded. "The loan amount is $36,000. It was finalized 3 weeks ago." $36,000. My chest tightened. I had spent years protecting my credit like it was fragile glass. One missed payment could crack it, 2 could shatter it. "You're saying my credit is backing a loan for a car I've never seen," I said slowly. "Yes," she confirmed. "The vehicle is registered to your brother, an SUV purchased through a private dealership outside Asheville." I pressed my fingers against the counter. "And you're calling me because he didn't pay?" "Yes. Not my brother. Me." Before I could say anything else, Karen added, "I want to be clear. Ms. Bennett, if this isn't resolved, the responsibility will fall to you." I hung up after that. I don't remember saying goodbye. Right after that moment, before anything else could color what you're about to hear, I want to be clear about one thing. This is an original story written by the author of the Family Afterlight channel, built from familiar social issues with the purpose of helping viewers reflect, heal, and draw meaningful lessons. The content is not intended to depict any real individual. I stood there longer than I should have, staring at my phone like it might explain itself if I waited. My hands were shaking, not from fear exactly, but from something colder. Recognition. I called my mother first, straight to voicemail. I called my father. It rang twice before he picked up. "Marlo," he said, already sounding tired. "Did you co-sign a loan using my name?" I asked. Silence. Not confusion. Not denial. "Dad," I said, my voice tightening. "Answer me." He exhaled. "We needed help." My stomach dropped. "You needed help? So you used my credit." "It's not like that," he said quickly. "Your credit is strong. Caleb's isn't. So you decided for me. You're making this dramatic." He replied, "It's just paperwork." Just paperwork. $36,000 of it. "Where is the car?" I asked. "At the house," he said. "Caleb's been using it for work." "For work?" I repeated. "And when the payments are late, the bank calls me." "We were going to handle it," he said. "You didn't need to get involved." I laughed, a short, broken sound. "I'm already involved." He lowered his voice. "This stays in the family." Something shifted in me then. Not anger. Something heavier. I ended the call and sat down on the floor, my back against the cabinet. If you've ever been the responsible one, the one everyone leans on without asking, you probably know this feeling. That moment when you realize the support was never mutual. I didn't cry. Not yet. I opened my banking app and stared at my credit score like it might disappear if I looked too hard. Then I checked my messages again, replayed Karen's calm voice in my head. "If this call caught your attention, stay with me." What I uncovered next didn't just change how I saw my family, it changed what I was willing to protect. And for the first time in my life, it wasn't them. By the time I drove to my parents' house the next morning, the shock had settled into something quieter, heavier. My mother answered the door with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You look exhausted," she said. "You should have called first." "I did," I replied. "You didn't answer." She stepped aside to let me in, already waving the comment away. "You always assume the worst." My father sat at the kitchen table, scrolling through his phone. He didn't look up when I entered. "Is the car here?" I asked. "It's outside," my mother said. "Caleb took it to the store, took the car I'm responsible for," I said. My father finally raised his head. "Lower your voice." "So you did it," I said. "You used my name." He folded his hands, calm in a way that felt rehearsed. "We co-signed on your behalf. That's not a thing," I said. "You don't get to decide that for me." My mother sighed, as if I were a difficult child. "Marlo, you've always been good with money. You don't struggle like your brother. That's because no one ever saves me," I said. "I save myself." She frowned. "That's not fair." "What's not fair?" I said, "is finding out from a bank that I'm backing $36,000 of debt I never agreed to." My father leaned back in his chair. "You make it sound criminal." "It is," I said. "It's fraud." Caleb walked in then, keys in his hand, his face bright. "You like it?" he asked. "Drive smooth. Way better than my old one." I looked at him. "You knew." He hesitated. "Just long enough. They said you were helping." "I never said that," I replied. "You didn't say no." My mother cut in. "I was never asked." I said. My father's voice hardened. "This family doesn't tear itself apart over money." I met his eyes. "Then this family shouldn't steal it." Caleb shifted uncomfortably. "I needed the car," he said. "You understand. I understand that when this goes wrong." I said, "The bank calls me." "Not you." My mother crossed her arms. "You've always been independent. We thought you wouldn't mind." That was the moment it clicked. They hadn't done this because I was weak. They had done it because I was reliable. "You didn't trust me enough to ask," I said. "But you trusted me enough to risk my future." No one answered. I stood up. "I'm not fixing this quietly." My father's jaw tightened. "You don't want to embarrass us." I picked up my bag. "You already did that yourselves." As I walked out, I realized something I hadn't let myself think before. In this family, being the one who had it together didn't make me safe. It made me useful. I didn't plan to come back that afternoon. I told myself I had said enough. But by the time I reached the end of the road, the anger had sharpened into something steadier. I turned the car around. Caleb was in the driveway when I pulled up, leaning against the SUV like it belonged to him in every way that mattered. He looked up and smiled, the same easy smile that had carried him through everything. "You came back," he said. "I figured you'd cool off." "I'm not here to cool off," I replied. "I'm here to understand how far you all thought this would go." He shrugged. "They said you were fine with it." I stepped closer. "Did you ever hear that from me?" He hesitated. "They wouldn't lie about that." Inside, my parents were already waiting. My mother stood by the counter, arms crossed. My father remained seated, his posture rigid, like this was a meeting he intended to control. "Let's clear something up," I said. "Who decided to put my name on that loan?" My father answered without blinking. "We did." "And you didn't think to call me. We knew you'd say no," my mother said. "And that would have made things harder." "For who?" I asked. "For everyone," she replied. "Caleb needed the car. The timing mattered. The timing mattered," I repeated. "So my consent didn't." My father leaned forward. "We did what made sense. Your credit is strong. His isn't. You weren't using it for anything." I felt my jaw tighten. "You don't get to assign my future like it's spare change." My mother's voice softened, the way it always did when she wanted me to back down. "Marlo, you're stable. You always land on your feet." "That's because I don't let people trip me," I said. Caleb cleared his throat. "I told them I'd make the payments. And when you don't," I said, "they call me." He looked away. "I will." "You already didn't," I said. "That's why the bank called." My father raised his hand. Enough. This isn't helping. It's helping me, I said. I need to know what else you decided for me. My mother frowned. Don't start inventing things. I'm not inventing anything, I said. I'm connecting it. Silence followed. Not denial. Calculation. You didn't even try to hide it. I continued. You used a cosign because it keeps me tied to it. You made sure the car was in Caleb's name so I couldn't touch it. That's not how it works. My father said, it is exactly how it works. I replied, and you know it. Caleb looked between us. You're acting like we did this to hurt you. You did it because you knew it wouldn't hurt you. I said, that's worse. My mother's eyes flashed. You don't need to be so dramatic. Stop saying that, I snapped. You took $36,000 of risk and put it on my name. My father stood. Lower your voice. No, I said. You don't get to manage my tone after stealing my credit. He stiffened. This family doesn't call banks. We handle things ourselves. That stopped being true the moment you forged my consent, I said. My mother stepped closer. If you go to the bank, you'll destroy us. I met her gaze. You destroyed me first. You just did it quietly. Caleb finally spoke again. What do you want us to do? I want you to admit you didn't make a mistake. I said. You made a choice. My father looked at me for a long moment. We chose what was best for the family. I nodded slowly. Then I'll choose what's best for me. No one tried to stop me when I walked out this time. As I closed the door behind me, I felt something settle into place. Not relief, not rage, clarity. They hadn't crossed a line by accident. They had stepped over it together, confident I would stay where they put me. The credit union called again the next morning. This time it wasn't Karen. It was a man named Daniel, his voice careful, practiced in the language of damage control. Ms. Bennett, he said, we want to help resolve this with as little disruption as possible. I held the phone tighter. By help. You mean make it disappear? He paused. I mean prevent long-term consequences. For who? I said. For everyone involved, he replied, including you. He explained it slowly, like the words needed room to land. If I confirmed the loan had been authorized by family, even verbally, the case would be closed internally. No investigation, no escalation, no marks on anyone's record. You would remain responsible for the loan, he said, but it would protect your credit from further review. And my parents. I added, yes, he said. It would protect them as well. I asked for the document. He emailed it within minutes. 1 page, a few lines, a box for my signature. My phone buzzed almost immediately after. My mother. I heard you talked to the bank, she said before I could speak. They called your father. They called me first. I said. That doesn't matter, she replied. What matters is fixing this. By me taking responsibility for something I didn't agree to. You're good at responsibility, she said gently. This won't break you. I closed my eyes. It shouldn't have to bend me either. She lowered her voice. If you sign that paper, this stays private. People don't need to know our business. I could hear the fear underneath the control. Not fear of what they had done, fear of who might see it. My father called next. Daniel explained the option. He said, it's reasonable. It's convenient. I replied, for the family. He said, you know how talk spreads around here. So this is about reputation. It's about dignity, he said sharply. I laughed once, quietly. Dignity doesn't come from hiding. He didn't answer that. Instead, he said, you don't want this on your conscience. I stared at the document on my screen. A single signature could make everything quiet again. No police, no court, no public unraveling. Just me and $36,000 tied to a choice I never made. Caleb texted next. Not a call. A message. They're freaking out. Just sign it. I'll pay you back. I typed slowly. You already didn't. 3 dots appeared, then vanished. I opened my email again. Read the document line by line. The language was clean, neutral. It didn't say fraud. It didn't say theft. It said authorized, family approved. I called Daniel back. If I don't sign, I said. What happens? There was a pause. Then we proceed with a formal review. And that means, I said, investigators. He replied, and outcomes we don't control. I looked at my hand, hovering above the phone, imagining how easy it would be to end this by swallowing it. How many times I had done that before. I need one day. I said, that's fine. He replied, but understand, Ms. Bennett, this is the simplest resolution available. After the call ended, I sat in silence, the document still open. I knew exactly what my parents expected. They had raised me to clean up messes quietly, to absorb impact, to make things easier. This time, making it easy meant disappearing myself into their decision. I didn't close the document. I didn't sign it either. I didn't sleep that night, not because I was panicking, but because something had shifted. The document from the credit union sat open on my laptop, untouched, while a different thought kept circling back. They were too calm. People who make mistakes scramble. They apologize. They improvise. My parents had done none of that. They had explained, justified, managed. So I started looking. I logged into my credit report first. Slowly, line by line, accounts I recognized, accounts I didn't. Then one entry made my chest tighten. A personal credit line opened years ago. Dormant now, marked as closed. I didn't remember opening it. I clicked deeper. The withdrawals were small, scattered. A few hundred here, a few thousand there. Nothing loud enough to set off alarms. Enough to be useful. Enough to be invisible. I called the credit bureau. After the verification steps, a woman named Renee came on the line. I'm looking at a personal credit line opened under my name. I said, I don't recall authorizing it. She read the details. It was opened just over 12 years ago. Initial limit was $20,000. 12 years ago. I was in college then, living at home, trusting everything. Was it ever used? I asked. Yes, she said. Multiple times. Total disbursements came to just under $90,000 over several years. The number sat heavy in the air between us. I never received that money. I said. There's no record of direct deposits to accounts in your name, Renee replied. Most withdrawals were made in person, close to home. After I hung up, I went to the hall closet and pulled down a box I hadn't opened in years. Old paperwork, school forms, birthday cards, notes my mother used to leave on the counter when she worked late. I laid them out on the floor next to the printed loan documents the credit union had sent me. The handwriting didn't just resemble each other. It matched. The curve of the letters, the pressure on the downstrokes, the way the tail of my last name slanted slightly upward, something I had never done myself. I stared at it until my eyes burned. This wasn't desperation. It was familiarity. My phone rang. My mother again. You didn't sign yet, she said, not asking. I found something. I replied. Her breath caught, just slightly. That old credit line. I continued. It wasn't mine. She didn't answer. You opened it when I was still living here. I said. You signed for me. Marlowe, she said softly. You're reaching. I have the paperwork. I said. Your handwriting is on it. The silence stretched longer this time. We were trying to keep things together. She finally said, Your father had a rough patch. For 12 years, I replied. You didn't need the money, she said. You were always okay. That sentence landed harder than anything else she had said. I was okay because I didn't know. I said, because you decided I didn't need to. She exhaled sharply. Why are you digging this up now? Because you didn't stop. I said, you just got bolder. My father took the phone then. You're misunderstanding the scope. He said, those accounts are closed. The past is the past. The past is sitting on my credit, I replied, and the present is $36,000 you expect me to absorb. We raised you, he said. Everything we did was for this family. I looked at the documents spread across the floor. Years of signatures that weren't mine. Decisions made without me. A pattern so clean it almost looked intentional. You didn't raise me, I said quietly. You used me. He hung up. I gathered the papers into a neat stack, not because I needed order, but because something inside me had settled. The pieces fit now. Every moment I had been told I was strong, every time my needs were postponed, this wasn't a single line crossed. It was a system. June Whitaker didn't interrupt while I talked. She sat across from me at a small table, hands folded, eyes steady, listening the way people do when they already know the answer, but need you to arrive there yourself. When I finished, she slid the papers closer to her. You understand what this is, she said. I understand it's fraud, I replied, and I understand it's my parents. She nodded once. Both can be true. June worked in financial compliance for a regional firm. We weren't close friends, but we'd known each other long enough that I trusted her to be honest. She studied the handwriting samples, the credit report, the loan documents. This isn't sloppy, she said. It's consistent. They did it for years. I said, yes, she replied. And that matters. I leaned back, my arms crossed. If I report it, what happens? June didn't soften her voice. You don't get to decide the ending. I figured. I said, if this goes forward, she continued, the credit union will escalate. Investigators get involved, possibly law enforcement. Your parents won't be able to explain this away as a misunderstanding. I swallowed. And me. You're the victim, she said. But that doesn't make it painless. I looked down at my hands. They keep saying I'll destroy the family. June met my eyes. You won't. You'll stop carrying it. That sounded like comfort. It wasn't. It was a warning dressed as clarity. She slid one document back toward me. Once you submit this, there's no pulling it back. No quiet fixes. No family conversations that make it go away. My father already called the bank. I said. He told them I was emotional. June's mouth tightened. That's a move. So they're preparing? Yes, she said. They're not hoping you stay quiet. They're counting on it. I felt something harden in my chest. They think I'll fold. They've trained you to, June replied. The words stung because they were precise. June leaned forward. I need to say this clearly. If you go through with this, you may lose them. Holidays, calls, any version of peace that depends on pretending. I nodded. And if I don't, you lose yourself, she said, and they keep using you. Silence settled between us. Not heavy. Definitive. June pushed the folder toward me. I can help you prepare the submission, evidence, timelines, statements. But you need to be sure. I thought of the document waiting for my signature, the one-page solution that made everything easier for everyone but me. I'm sure, I said. June exhaled slowly. Then we do this clean. As she stood, she paused. One more thing. I looked up. They're going to say you're selfish, she said. Let them. Selfish people don't spend years being convenient. When she left, I sat alone with the folder in front of me. For the first time since the call from the credit union, I didn't feel pulled in two directions. I felt aligned. And I knew exactly what I was about to lose. The first call came before I finished my coffee. It was Daniel from the credit union. Ms. Bennett, he said, his tone no longer neutral. Your father contacted us this morning. I closed my eyes. What did he say? He expressed concern about your well-being, Daniel replied. He suggested you may be overwhelmed and misinterpreting the situation, so he tried to discredit me. There was a brief pause. He wanted to ensure we understood this was a family matter. I let out a slow breath. And what did you tell him? That we proceed based on documentation, Daniel said, not character assessments. After the call ended, my phone rang again. My mother this time. You're taking this too far, she said, skipping any pretense. Your father is beside himself. He should be, I replied. He used my identity. You're acting like a stranger, she snapped. Families don't turn on each other. I didn't turn on you, I said. I stopped covering for you. She went quiet for a beat, then said, if you file that report, don't expect things to go back to normal. They already aren't, I said. She lowered her voice. You're choosing money over us. I'm choosing reality, I replied. She hung up. An hour later, there was a knock at my door, not a polite one. Caleb stood in the hallway, his face tight, eyes red. They're spiraling, he said the moment I opened the door. Dad called the bank. Mom's calling relatives. Everyone's talking. You wanted me silent, I said. Now you're loud. He ran a hand through his hair. Just sign the authorization. Please, I'll take over the payments. You already said that. I replied, and you already missed one. That was temporary, he said. I was waiting on a deposit, and if it happens again, I said, they come after me. He stepped closer. If you don't do this, I lose everything. I didn't move. You already gained everything, at my expense. His voice cracked. You don't need the credit like I do. Something in me went still. You don't get to decide what I need. He stared at the floor. They said you'd understand. They always say that. I replied. He looked up, frustration replacing panic. Why are you doing this now? Because this time I saw the pattern, I said, and I won't live inside it anymore. He shook his head. You're blowing this up. No, I said. I'm letting it show. He stood there for a long moment, then whispered, if they lose the house, it's on you. I felt the weight of that sentence, then let it fall. If they lose the house, it's because they built it on lies. His shoulders sagged. I didn't know about the old accounts. I believe you, I said, but you benefited anyway. He didn't argue. After he left, I called June. I'm ready, I said. She didn't hesitate. Then we submit everything today. I sent the files, the handwriting samples, the credit history, the messages. Every piece of silence turned into proof. When Daniel confirmed receipt, his reply was brief. We're escalating this for formal review. I set my phone down and waited. Not for forgiveness, not for understanding, for the consequences to finally land where they belonged. The investigation moved faster than I expected. Daniel called 3 days later. Ms. Bennett, he said, his voice steady. Official now. The review confirmed unauthorized co-signing and identity misuse. The loan has been frozen. I closed my eyes. And my credit. It will be restored, he said. You're not responsible for the balance. I exhaled, a sound I didn't realize I'd been holding. My parents. There will be consequences, he replied. Restitution requirements, credit restrictions. Further action depends on compliance. He didn't say police. He didn't need to. Caleb texted me that night. They took the car. I stared at the message, then typed back. I know. A minute passed. I didn't think it would end like this. He wrote. I set the phone down without replying. My mother called once. I let it ring. My father sent an email, carefully worded, apologetic without admitting anything. I didn't open it. Some explanations arrived too late to matter. Weeks later, June met me for coffee. You did the right thing, She said, "I did the necessary thing." I replied. She nodded. "Those are usually the same. When I finally bought a car, it wasn't new. It wasn't impressive. It was reliable, paid for entirely in my own name. When I signed the paperwork, the pen felt heavier than it should have, like it carried more than ink." The dealer smiled. "All set," he said. "All set. No one else attached. No hidden expectations." As I drove home, I passed the lot where Caleb's SUV used to sit, polished and loud. The space was empty now. I felt no satisfaction, just a quiet sense of alignment, like my life had finally returned to its proper lane. That night, I sat alone and let the silence exist without trying to fix it. I thought about how long I had confused loyalty with endurance, how often I had been praised for being strong when what they really meant was convenient. If this story feels familiar, if you've ever been the one expected to absorb the impact so others don't have to, I hope you stay with that recognition. It matters. Sharing it matters. Sometimes the most powerful shift happens when we stop explaining ourselves and let the truth stand where it belongs. I didn't lose my family that day. I lost the version of myself that believed silence was the price of belonging.